Right, good morning everybody. Nice to see such a lot of people here. Right, this is the Cabinet meeting of South Cambridgeshire District Council. I think we've got a bit of feedback.
Windows 11 update, sorry.
Are we sorted? Okay, Windows update, marvellous, all you need with a long agenda. Hello, so I'm Councillor Bridget Smith, I'm leader of the council and I'm chairing this meeting. Councillor Brian Mills, our vice chair, is beside me, and all bar one members of cabinet are in the room. Can I just ask people to switch off phones and so on and make sure their microphones are off unless they're speaking, and I will take questions from cabinet first of all, then non-cabinet members, and then people who are joining online. Normal procedures that we take votes by affirmation. Right, so starting off, apologies for absence, please.
We have apologies from Councillor John Batchelor.
Thank you very much indeed. And moving on, declarations of interest. Any cabinet members have any interest pertaining to today's agenda, please? No? Okay, so item 3 is minutes of the previous meeting, which I wasn't able to be at, so Councillor Brian Milnes is going to move this.
Yes, so moved, thanks.
And Councillor Peter MacDonald, I think, is seconding.
Yes,
so,
I would second, please.
So, do members agree to approve the minutes, please?
Agreed.
Anyone voting against? Any abstentions? No. Good. Cabinet therefore agrees to the approval of the minutes as a correct record by affirmation. Right, announcements. We have a few announcements today. The first ones from me are the consultation on local government reorganisation has now gone live and will run until the 20th July. We've run, well, I say we, Liz Watts and colleagues have run 2 briefings for parish councils so far, which were well attended and gave us a lot of, hopefully were very, very useful to them. We would really encourage all members of the public and stakeholders to participate in the consultation because it's an important part of the whole process. I'm going to go over to Councillor Toomey Hawkins first of all, and then to Brian Milnes. So over to you, Councillor Hawkins.
Thank you very much, Leader. I am pleased to announce that the Greater Cambridgeshire Planning Service has won 2 awards in the last 2 weeks. The first one was the Planning Awards 2025, which was for creating new habitats for biodiversity in Edgane. It's the award for planning for the natural environment, which you can all see. I think this is quite a significant award for us because we've been noted as being creative out there when we created those areas for what we call the habitat banks, where developers who are not able to fully replace biodiversity on their site are able to pay for creation and maintenance of habitat elsewhere. And each habitat bank must legally be monitored and managed over the next 30 years, so it is a significant thing. The second award, which was last week, is this one, which is the Planning Authority of the Year, the RTPI Awards for Planning Excellence in East of England. There we go. And this one obviously is, I would say, very well deserved by the whole team because it showcases the fact that we've done a lot of transformative work, which includes our approaches to biodiversity, youth engagement, digital innovation, inclusive planning, as well as apprenticeship and talent development. All the teams across the board have worked very hard over the last few years, and this is the culmination. We're not there yet. There's a lot to do, but thank you to all the team, and this is Mama Bear saying, well done.
Thank you. Councillor Milnes.
Yes, thank you. as the council's representative on the GCP board, I'm pleased to confirm that we had a notification of passing the gateway review this week. And that means that the final 200 million out of 500 million that came out of the city deal, which led to the Greater Cambridge Partnership, is now confirmed, which means that we've had the work that we've already done endorsed by the government, and it means that we can get on with the final part of delivering all those schemes, such as C2C, such as the Water Beach Station move, and completing the 150 kilometres of cycle and pedestrian greenways that are coming to the area to improve our citizens' environment as much as we can. So Cambridge is one of the most busy for cycling, and we will continue to forge ahead with this scheme. Thank you.
Lovely. Lots of good news to start the day. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, we're moving on to public questions. Mr. Daniel Fulton, I think, has got a question. Welcome. Good morning.
Hello, thank you. Question number 1, please.
So it's as stated in the paper. So the question's as stated in the paper. Okay, so Councillor Henry Batchelor is going to respond to you because this is his responsibility.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and morning, everyone. So the remit of the Community Safety Partnership, or CSP for short, is to bring together local partners to formulate and implement strategies to tackle crime, disorder and antisocial behaviour, or ASB, in their communities. In all their work, CSPs work on the principle that no single agency can address all drivers of crime and ASB, and that effective partnership working is vital to ensure safer communities. There are many ways of developing and delivering strategies to tackle crime, disorder and ASB, and the underlying issues and causes. Community support partnerships and problem-solving groups are two common and accepted mechanisms for doing this. Community support partnerships bring key community leaders and services together to problem solve and increase resilience, and the problem-solving groups look more often at the specific cases of individuals. All Cambridgeshire CSPs run problem-solving groups or equivalent, sometimes more than one per CSP area. Partners seek, wherever possible, especially with young people, but also with adults, not to criminalise and instead to offer support where possible. Where consent is given by an individual, referrals can be made into support services. However, agencies often have to make safeguarding referrals, request police welfare visits, or make 999 calls where there is immediate concern for the welfare of the individual concerned or their family or community. This is a part of their safeguarding responsibility. An information sharing agreement, or ISA, governs the work of the CSP and its constituent groups. Information is shared appropriately and proportionately to bring about a resolution or action towards a resolution. Any information is held by each party in accordance with their own information governance protocols, but agencies may not share for purposes other than those outlined in the agreement. So sorry, lots of acronyms there.
Thank you very much. Mr. Fulton, do you have a supplementary question pertaining to the one that you've asked?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Chair. This year's Community Safety Partnership Strategic Assessment is a very comprehensive document. However, there is a mandatory consultation duty under Regulation 12 of the 2007 regulations. And I'm not sure that this consultation has been carried out. This is quite important because it requires consultation with groups likely to be affected by the assessment. And so I would appreciate if the lead member could look into whether this consultation occurred. And I'd also like to note that there hasn't been a meeting of the Community Safety Partnership since March 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Batchelor, are you able to respond to that, or do you need to respond in writing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very specific question, so absolutely we'll look into it and respond in writing.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Fulton. Thank you, Councillor Batchelor. Right, moving on, we've got update from Scrutiny and Overview Committee. I don't think we have anybody present. They looked at 3 items: civil parking enforcement, which we're not looking at today, but they also looked at the low-income family tracker and the KPI methodology review. So we have got both those items on the agenda later on, and obviously we will be considering the feedback from Scrutiny and Overview. So the first item on the agenda today is the Q4 performance review, and Councillor John Williams is going to present this, and I'm very happy to second it. So, Councillor John Williams.
Thank you, Leader. Overall, a very good set of results for us in the last quarter of last financial year. I would, however, make one comment about the contact centre. As you see, that the performance in March was considerably less than we would expect. But you'll see from the comments, this was down to a number of factors that all came together in that particular month. I mean, March in particular is our busiest month anyway, because it's the month when the council tax bills go out, and we get a lot of inquiries about that. But also it coincided with changing the system and changes to our website. But I'm very hopeful that in the next quarter we'll see it bounce back.
Thank you very much indeed. So I'm happy to second it. Thank you very much for everybody who's put all the effort into this. Are there any questions or any points from members of Cabinet? No. Yeah. Yes. So So Kevin's in the. Oh, thank you very much. Always. And again, this used to be rather impenetrable, and it just gets clearer and clearer. And so I think we all very much appreciate the way it's all set out, and the narrative alongside all the figures, which help, which makes sense. So, and lots of lovely purples, which means that we've done lots of stuff. Okay, so we are. So let's go back to the beginning. We are asked to review the results, agree the continued tracking of the AMBER outputs, note the business highlights plan summary, and note that a review of KPIs and targets has taken place. Right, do members agree with all the recommendations?
Agree.
Anyone wish to vote against? Anyone wish to abstain? No, good. So Cabinet therefore agrees the proposals. Thank you very much indeed. So, and related to this is the KPI methodology review, item 8. And again, Councillor John Williams is presenting this, and Councillor Brian Milnes will second it. So over to you, Councillor Williams again.
Thank you, Leader. Well, as you can see, it's been a while since we have reviewed our key performance indicators and the methodology behind them and the reasons for them, to be honest. And I'm pleased to say that after a thorough review, there are three basic items to this. First of all, we've reviewed some of the KPIs and decided that they are not really aligned with our peers. For example, take housing. When the time it takes to bring housing stock back into use, for example, we have a ridiculously, ambitious target, which is nowhere near anywhere else does in the country. So that obviously needs to be reviewed. But there are some others where we felt that we perhaps were doing ourselves a disservice. The other area is that we felt that it was important, given sickness and absenteeism is a very important issue on the council, that ought to be considered by the Employment and Staffing Committee, where we have the expertise to enable us to have a thorough investigation of the performance regarding sickness and absenteeism. So the proposal is that should be taken out of the KPIs and should be considered by employment and staffing. And then the third thing covered by this is actually to introduce a new set of indicators called strategic indicators, separating them from the operational key performance indicators. At the moment, everything's all together, and I think it would give a much clearer picture if we looked at the operational KPIs separately from those KPIs that were to do with our strategy and strategic aims. So they're the three parts to this recommendation, and I hope Cabinet will approve it.
Thank you. Councillor Milnes.
Yeah, thank you. Very happy to support that, and it's a move continuing changing data into information, which is what we need to make sensible decisions about the progress of the council. This is a move in the right direction. We should have these things under constant review, and I'm more than happy to support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments from any members of Cabinet? Councillor Hawkins.
Thank you, Leader. The only other change that there is on the planning items PN 510, 11, 12 and 13, and these are only changing in terms of timescales, which the government changed the methodology back in December 2027. So we're going from 2 years cumulative period to a 1 year rolling period on 2 of them, and the other 2 is going from a 2 year to date to 2 year rolling period, and that's it. That's on page 84 of our report. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. That's marvellous. So I know some members participated in I think a workshop, didn't they, Kevin, to help inform this. So do you want to comment on how that went?
Yeah, absolutely. So during the autumn, we had a couple of member workshops to talk through the existing suite of key performance indicators and to talk about anything that perhaps might be missing from that or any ways that and anything that we could consider to try to increase the clarity and increase the usefulness of the report and make sure that it continues to be an up-to-date and accurate reflection of performance within the council. So that was a really useful couple of sessions and has been fed into these changes that are detailed in the report.
Thank you. And I imagine there was similar input from colleagues as a whole across the whole council.
That's right. Yeah. Continuing discussions around our KPIs. And also through committees such as Scrutiny and Overview Committee, we often have kind of comments that are raised at those when we're presenting the quarterly performance reports, and so try to take those sorts of comments on within the proposals detailed.
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. So thank you again to Kevin and to Jeff, who are both the authors of this piece. And I know I've done a lot of work on it. It just, hopefully this will make our data just more meaningful, because as Councillor Williams said, some of it has, we're not quite sure what the origin of some of these targets are, because they certainly don't make any sense in today's world. So we are recommended to agree the proposed changes, agree the suggested changes to the calculation and monitoring period of sickness KPIs. Okay, so there's the bit about sickness which isn't being taken forward. Note the introduction of the new additional suite of measures called strategic indicators, and ask officers to produce a pilot service dashboard for members to review by the end of the first quarter. So do members agree with all the recommendations as on page 77?
Agreed.
Anyone wishing to vote against? Anyone abstaining? No. So members agree the recommendations as set out. Thank you very much. And item 9 is now the mystery shopping exercise. And again, Councillor Williams again, and I think Councillor Peter MacDonald is going to second this one. So again to you, Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Leader. Well, I'm really delighted to present this report. I think in the previous one regarding our key performance indicators, you'll know that I noted the performance of the contact centre because it was under extreme pressure in March. Now, this mystery shopper exercise was conducted in February and March, and so it was conducted at a time when the call centre is under extreme pressure. And I'm delighted to say that the outcome of the mystery shoppers showed that despite that, our call centre staff worked, should be immensely proud of what they've achieved. And in paragraph 8 of the report, you'll see what the response times were. And if anyone has ever tried to call a utility, as I was called in last week, I won't name the utility, but I can tell you that their response times were nowhere near ours at all. And in fact, I also understand that, you know, compared to other local authorities, we are really good at responding. So congratulations to the contact centre team. Also, you'll see that some officers were said that the report said they went the extra mile for customers, and that really sums up, I think, the effort that the team does put into answering calls. So I am really delighted to present this report, and I think it's a credit to everyone involved with our customer service team. Thanks.
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor MacDonald?
Yes, Leader, I'd like to second the report and the recommendation. I think it was particularly impressive to see that overall we scored 81% and the benchmark externally was 68%. So that is really well done to all of that team.
Thank you. Any questions from members of Cabinet? Councillor Williams online?
Thank you. It was just about the timing of the mystery shopper exercise that's been referred to. March is the busiest period, and we can see that due to call volume, and this would undoubtedly put unnecessary additional calls into the contact centre, whether actually it's fair on that department to be doing something like this at their busiest time, and also with the system change happening. I just would like her to understand whether that was sort of deliberate to look at it at its most stressed point, or whether it was sort of a bit of bad planning in that process. I'm not saying these are bad things to do, and the contact centre, I think, has done remarkably well in the conditions that they were working in that period. But it does feel like they were put under unnecessary stress with this extra responsibility at a time which is their busiest. And I'm just wondering if that was the best approach.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor John Williams, do you want me to refer this to Jeff Membry?
Yes, please, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The timing of the mystery shopper exercise was so that it coincided with the same exercise back in 2023. It does mean that because of the way weekends fall, the particularly busy time for the contact centre will vary a little bit depending upon when council tax bills are being produced, etc. So when it was run in 2023, it wasn't quite, it was a busy time, and we consciously wanted to make sure it wasn't a quiet time so that we had a decent representation of performance. But when it was run again this time, the schedule of weekends meant that it was busier this time than it was in 2023. I think in retrospect, yes, if I'd realised the number of calls coming in, I would probably have pushed this forward a week, so it would have happened a week earlier. And that's certainly something that we'll learn for the future.
Thank you very much. Councillor Williams, do you want to come back on that?
Yes, I'm pleased that it be thought about in the future, because at the end of the day, what we really need as councillors is for our residents to be able to get through to the contact centre and have that priority, particularly at those peak times. So I'm encouraged that it's going to be thought through a little bit more next time, and would really stress that we don't put any extra stress or strain on our contact centre, because those who are the most vulnerable, I'm sure as councillors we all know that, are the ones most likely to be actually calling in rather than dealing with things online. So thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. I mean, having said that, I mean, I absolutely understand why it needed to compare fairly with, if we'd moved the time without justification, then, it would have been difficult to do the comparative work with such assurance. But actually, when I go and talk to the staff, I think the fact that they've performed so well at a time of high pressure has been very, very positive for them. And so I think they've taken a lot of satisfaction in the fact that their service remains of such a high standard, even at the busiest time. So I think if we went and asked them, actually, I think we probably should do that. Go and ask them what they think, whether, you know, they see the value of this being conducted at a very busy time. So it's really, you know, testing them when they're having to be really on their mettle. And I think they might say, yeah, this was a good decision. So, but anyway, the results are great. So thank you very much, Jeff, for all your work on this, and to all the staff in the contact centre who continue to give a service which exceeds that of the vast majority of other councils. So we are asked to note the contents of this report. Thank you. So we're now moving on to more good news. So we've got the low income family tracker, and Councillor Henry Batchelor is going to present this one, and Councillor Warren Green is going to second it. So Councillor Batchelor.
Yeah, thank you very much, Leader. And yeah, as you said, I think this is very much a good news story, and I'm very happy to be presenting it to Cabinet and to be given the opportunity to promote it through Cabinet, because, you know, I think the work that LIFT has helped us do as a council has been invaluable. And, you know, in my view, I think it's probably some of the best use of council resources that we've certainly invested in. Certainly in my portfolio, maybe slightly wider than that. But, I mean, the results are, I think, unchallengeable in that regard in terms of the benefit that we've got out from investing in it. Yeah, so LIFT. So for those that don't know, yeah, it's a called Low Income Family Tracker, and it's a piece of software that helps us as a council identify those people that are due to eligible to claim benefits but aren't currently doing that. So that's what we use the software for, is to help people claim things, benefits, allowances, etc., that they wouldn't usually have been aware that they were able to apply for. You'll see in the document about all some of the good news stories that we've managed to achieve as a result of using this piece of software. On top of all this as well, we have held some physical events in person to help encourage, I think it's pretty fair to say, specifically the older generation to come along and actually engage with this process and actually speak to some of the team and get some guidance on what they can apply for that they aren't currently. And I'm pleased to say, of the 2 physical in-person events that we've held so far, we've identified something in the order of £250,000 of unclaimed benefits just from these 2 events that we're now encouraging those people that attended to claim. Obviously, all the responsibilities on the claimant to put the application in, but certainly there is a lot of money that is going unclaimed by people in South Cambridgeshire. Yep, so this paper's gone through scrutiny as well. I think it was very well received at scrutiny. We had some feedback as well about how else the scrutiny members saw that the software could be used. We did have a bit of sort of technical back and forth about the methodology around how some of the financials are calculated, which is in the appendix. But I think after, specifically from Chris Riches, who's the lead officer on this and has done a sterling job on it, I think after a debate with him, I think it was sort of accepted that the methodology was correct and where it should be. Yep, so I think it's just to round that off, I think it's a very good piece of software. I'm very happy to be presenting this, and kudos to the team and specifically Chris, who's really been the lead on this, and I'm very proud of the team for where we've got to with it.
Thank you, Councillor Warren Green.
Yeah, I'm very happy to second this. Well done, team. It's this LIFT has identified residents across rural, villages and the new communities. And in the cost of living crisis, it's been really critical for some people. It's supported their financial position, and also my experience has been that it's also supported their mental health. So I think it's, a double win, and I'm really happy to second this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments from anybody on Cabinet? Anyone online? So thank you very much indeed. So, even the best bit of software is only as good as the people using it. And, I think Chris is getting a lot of attention on LinkedIn over this, I see at the moment, but quite rightly. So I think I'm very, very proud of this piece of work. I think it has national significance, and on a day when government's proposed cuts to benefits are absolutely in the headlines, I think it's very right and proper that we are doing everything we can to make sure the people who are eligible for their benefits are getting it. Because as we now know from some of the feedback we've had, a few extra pounds in the pockets can make all the difference in the world to people's physical and mental well-being. So yeah, again, congratulations. I look forward to seeing this going even further. And I'm just getting back to what our recommendation is. I think we're noting, right, yes, we are noting this report. So thank you. Well done as always, Chris. Thank you. Right, item 11 now is review of service support grants for voluntary and community sectors for 26 to 29. So this is Councillor John Williams again, and Councillor Henry Batchelor seconding this one. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Leader. Well, as the report says, we've undertaken a review of our grants that we give to the voluntary sector, and this follows on from the review we undertook into the Mobile Warden Support Scheme, where we identified and worked with the providers of that scheme to develop and to come up with a robust budget for the future for that scheme. And having done that, thank you for our communities team, we then went on and looked at the rest of the voluntary sector grants that we give. I think if you look at paragraph 17, there's a table there which gives an indication of where we sit in relation to other district councils on this. And although clearly we're sort of in the middle, it's clear from the groups that we deal with that there is a pressure on them because of the cost of living crisis, which continues despite changing government. And as you can see there, that if you look at where Cambridge City is, we actually are only about a third of what Cambridge City give. Now, that's not to say Cambridge City have a lot more problems than we do, but nevertheless, I think the feeling was that maybe we ought to be reviewing the grants that we are giving. And as a result of that, we have decided to increase the budget quite considerably, actually, so that we can bring in other groups that currently are not covered, for example, not-for-profit organisations, so that in conjunction with LIFT and all the other things that we do in the community, we can support the voluntary sector in South Cambs. Things like, obviously, citizens' advice, for example, we support, but there are other organisations that you see in the report that do some sterling work in our district and are struggling because of increases in costs and also increases in, for example, national insurance contributions. So I'm delighted that we've been able to find this money. As we go on to the outturn, the revenue budget outturn for this year, which we'll look at later, you'll see that we have made enormous efforts in productivity gains in this council, and we're able to find this money within the existing budget and the medium-term financial strategy that we have for this council. So I'm therefore delighted that we were able to offer our voluntary sector more money for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Henry Batchelor.
Yeah, very happy to second, Chair. I mean, I think supporting the voluntary sector and offering grants is a big part of local government, and obviously I'm very happy to support the paper that obviously increases the amount that we give to the voluntary sector. I think, Councillor John Williams has outlined a few of the bodies that we do support, and very happy to second this paper, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any comments from members of Cabinet? No? From anybody else? No? So, we're really privileged that we're in a position to increase our funding to the third sector at a time when most people are reining it in. And, all credit to our colleagues within South Cambridge for giving us that financial stability and financial freedom that allows us to do this. My thanks to Emma Dyer for all her work on this and for a good paper, which we are, hang on, what are we doing? Right, there are lots of recommendations on page 13, which is on the allocations of all the money. Okay, and the name of the scheme is going to be amended to the voluntary community and social enterprise sector grants. Is that correct? Yeah, okay, that's good. Okay. All right, so do members agree with the recommendations as set out on page 113?
Agreed.
Anyone voting against? Anyone abstaining? No, so members therefore agree with the proposals unanimously. Thank you. And moving swiftly on to item 12, we had a very good briefing on this, on the antisocial behaviour policy as relating to council tenants and leaseholders. So Councillor John Batchelor is not here. Councillor Henry so I will propose this. Councillor Henry Batchelor is going to second it. So, you know, it's really sad that, you know, incidents of antisocial behaviour are just, are going up and going up. It's not something that's, that's just South Cambridgeshire. It's happening all over the place. But people's lives are getting more complicated and more difficult in many respects. So the incidents we're having to deal with go up, and the complexity that goes up. So I mean, I believe we take a very much sort of multi-agency approach to dealing with all of this. But it's really important that we have robust policies behind what we do, so that our officers have a clear framework in which to deal with the cases that they have to address. So I'm very grateful for this work. I don't think it's been easy, but I'm hopeful that it will provide a good basis for future engagement with our council tenants and leaseholders. Councillor Batchelor.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, very happy to second. Obviously, the crossover with my portfolio is mainly with the Community Safety Partnership, which we're going to be talking about a bit later on in the agenda. So obviously having a very robust antisocial behaviour policy for our tenants and leaseholders is key to marrying up with the CSP. So yeah, more than happy to second this paper, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I've just seen that we've got Claire Gilby and Martin Hilliam here. Is there anything that you want to add? No? Okay. Well, thank you very much indeed. Thank you, because again, I appreciate this is not easy. It's sensitive, but we have to have a robust approach because these things affect all sorts of people's lives. So thank you very much indeed for all your work. Much appreciated. Okay, so the recommendation is that we approve the antisocial behaviour policy as relating to council tenants and leaseholders, and the lead member for housing is given delegated authority to approve any minor amendments. So do members all agree?
Agree.
Okay, anyone wish to vote against? Anyone wish to abstain? No, thank you very much indeed. So thank you both again. Right, and item 13, tenant satisfaction measures. And again, this should be John Batchelor. So it would be me, and Councillor Toomey Hawkins is going to second this. Right, so I mean, this is a statutory. Sorry, I'm not terribly up to speed on this, so I did read it last night. Oh yeah, Julie. Where's Julie? Oh, Julie, lovely. Julie, help me out here, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, just to say that this is a requirement to submit a set of tenant satisfaction measures by the end of June to the regulator. It's made up of 12 perception measures which have been undertaken by way of a survey to all of our council tenants, and then there's a further 10 measures which are more operational for the landlord. So we undertook the survey in January this year. The majority of the satisfaction measures are going in the right direction. So at Appendix A, it lists all the measures within the TSMs in terms of how they compare to last year, as well as how they compare with the targets that we set last year, because last year was the first time we had to do the TSM submission. There are a couple where we are slightly below target, and we've noted that there's room for improvement there in terms of improving communications around how tenants feel that they're treated fairly and with respect. So we have done a lot of work over the past year in terms of sort of improving that communication really, and we hope to see that improve over the next year. Also in terms of keeping our communal areas clean and well maintained, satisfaction there was slightly lower than we would want, and again that's a piece of work that we'll be looking at this year in terms of improving that and working with our tenants to develop a communal areas policy. In terms of our operational measures, and the next report goes on to this a bit further, in terms of complaint handling, we need to get better in terms of how we handle complaints, and again we have put more measures in place to ensure that we keep on top of our complaints that come in and that they are given priority so that we don't go over the time scale. So that is a huge push for this year, that we will look for an improvement there. So I think Appendix A sets out all the TSM measures that will be submitted to the regulator.
That's great. Thank you. Very clear indeed. Councillor Hawkins.
Yes, Leader, I'm happy to second this. As we know, perception is key in a lot of cases, and the fact that the perception measures are mostly upwards is a good sign, especially the overall satisfaction as well as satisfaction with repairs, which some of us know is quite key to people being happy where they are. So, yeah, happy to second this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from any members of Cabinet? No? Anybody online? No, thank you. So it's reassuring to see we've got some very clear targets for this coming year. You know, and communicate. You know, if people feel communications could be better, then actually it's not a hard nut to crack, is it? So we should be fine with that. And I'm interested in the communal areas policy. I hadn't picked that up. So that's good news. I mean, of course, everybody has a role to play in keeping communal areas nice, not just us. So I think it's about having an agreement with people that everybody plays their part. Good. Oh well, I look forward to seeing that when it comes. So I think we're asked to note this report. Back there. Yes, we're noting the tenant satisfaction measures. Thank you. So these get submitted now to government, do they? Or to wherever? MHCLG?
Yes, they will do.
They do. Okay, that's lovely. Thank you very much indeed. And item 14 now is the Housing Service annual complaints report. So similar. So again, it'll be me making a not terribly good job of standing in for Councillor Batchelor, and Councillor Peter MacDonald seconding it. So I think so Julie will come back to you on this one. Yeah, thank you.
Certainly. Again, this is another sort of new requirement by the social housing regulator in terms of having to submit an annual complaints report each year, as well as undertaking an assessment of the Housing Ombudsman Code. So you'll see at the Appendix A, it sets out the annual report in terms of how we deal with complaints. I think there's no surprise that the number of complaints we receive, the most is for repairs, but that's the most interaction we have with tenants, so that's to be expected. I think the main thing again to highlight is responding times, I think, in terms of complaints, and again, as I've said before, we are working very much to improve that for this year and have got new systems in place to ensure that we don't go over those timelines. So again, this will all be submitted to the regulator once approved. As part of the requirement to submit, we also require a response from Cabinet in terms of the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor MacDonald?
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, it's a very detailed report. Obviously, we're responsible in terms of feedback and reporting to government, but nevertheless, I think for Julie and her team, they really are on top of this, so I'd like to second it. Thank you.
Thank you. We have seen slight reduction, haven't we, in complaints? I think this last year.
think we have, but the regulator does state that the number of complaints actually isn't an issue, because if people are complaining, then it means it's more accessible and they know how to complain. So you can look at that in two ways. I mean, obviously, the fewer complaints we have, the better, I think, for the service in terms of getting it right first time. But it's how we deal with them, I think, which is the important thing.
That's interesting. Good. And actually, the comments that you've included there are really, really nice. It shows that, you know, sometimes you don't have to do a whole lot for people to really have a transformative effect on their lives. So thank you very much, Julie, and to all the rest of your team. So Cabinet's asked to approve both appendices and the response going into the annual complaints report for our submission to the Housing Ombudsman. So do members all agree with the recommendations?
Agreed.
Anyone voting against? Anyone abstaining? No. So Cabinet approves the recommendations on page 173. Right. So moving back to money. So we've got provisional housing revenue account and capital outturn for 24-25, and right. Sorry, I'm on the wrong item here. Yeah, catching up. Right, so Councillor John Williams is going to present that, and Councillor Brian Milnes is going to second it. So Councillor Williams, please.
Thank you, Leader. Just to remind Cabinet and everyone else, obviously, this is when it comes to the housing revenue account, this is ring-fenced. Broadly speaking, it has to be self-contained, so the rents that we receive basically pay for the maintenance, the depreciation and the interest on loans. So basically our council tenants have to pay for basically everything to do with housing, including building new housing in that respect. If you look at paragraphs 7 and 8, you can see the situation as of the end of last financial year, and we ended up actually with a slight surplus of 1.3 million. But if you look at paragraph 18, you'll see that that was mainly down to depreciation. You can see in the table there that depreciation, as a result of revaluation of our housing stock, our depreciation went down by about 1.8 million. So that was really the reason for that outturn. Also, obviously, we didn't spend as much as we expected on building more council homes last year for a number of factors that John would have explained, but principally because of delays in building out, and so again, you know, we didn't have the expected increase in loans, in interest on those loans. But the main reason why we have a surplus this year is down to that depreciation.
Thank you very much. Councillor Milnes.
Well, another example of us, I use the expression fiscal rectitude. Not sure it's absolutely correct, but our finances are in good shape, and the HRA, the Housing Revenue Account, is another example of that. So I applaud the teams for managing that so well.
Thank you very much indeed. And the report authors Martin Lee. Have we got Martin in the room? No. We've got Fazana. Fazana, is there anything you want to add?
No, thank you, Leader.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. It's very nice and clearly set out. So recommendations are on page 219. I won't read them. Any questions from other members of Cabinet? Anybody online? No? Okay, so we are asked to note some stuff, and yes, it's all, note various things and then approve the carry forward amounts of 12.446 million to the 25-26 in relation to the HRA house building account, I presume, during 24-25 due to slippage, and 0.735 million for capitalised repairs. So are members happy with the recommendations?
Agreed.
Anyone voting against? Anyone abstaining? So members therefore approve the recommendations as set out. And more money, the Provisional General Fund Revenue and Capital. So John Williams will propose this and I will second it. So over to you, John.
Thank you, Leader. Well, I think I'm really delighted to present this report and this financial outturn. Obviously, it's yet to be audited, but it does show how financially secure this council is. You'll see from Table 7 our expenditure on services actually we managed to save around just over 10% on the cost of running this council. I'm really delighted to see that as part of that, the income from our investments is now almost £1 million, 10 million pounds. And, you know, that is great credit to this council and what we have achieved over the last 7 years. We set off when we took control of this council that we would use our financial assets to work for us and to actually get income from our investments and to invest wherever possible our reserves in those investments to deliver at least 25% of our income from commercial investments, and we have achieved that. And that 10 million is a useful addition to our council's cost, to meeting the cost of providing our council services. I'm also pleased to see that as a result of much better performance than we had expected, that some £800,000 is being moved into reserves. We had planned to put 3.1 million into reserves, and in fact that's now 3.9 million, and that will help us over the 5-year medium financial period to achieve a balanced budget. We're still not there quite over that 5-year period, but we're heading that way, and I think that's you know, that's it. I thank very much to all the officers of this council for helping us to achieve that, because without everyone's support and everyone's effort to continually improve our productivity and find ways of improving income, we're not able to achieve that. So congratulations everyone, from the Chief Executive down to the bin loader, and I say I'm really delighted that to show that this council is in, as our peers recognised in our peer review, that we are a very financially sound council. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. I don't think I can add anything to that. Fazana, is there anything you'd like to point out that we haven't covered?
I think Councillor John really summarised that well.
A very good job. Lovely. Thank you. So any comments from any members of Cabinet? Or anyone online? No? Okay. So recommendations are on page 227 and 228. So do members agree with the recommendations?
Agreed.
Anyone wish to vote against? Anyone abstaining? So Cabinet accepts the recommendations as set out. Okay, and moving on to 17, update on application for the Cambridge South East Transport Order and Council Statement of Case. So, Councillor, hang on, where am I? 17. Losing my place here. Right, so Councillor Peter MacDonald is going to present it and Councillor Brian Mills is going to second it because of his position on GCP. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank
Over
you.
to you, Peter.
Thank you, Leader. So this is an update from March on the Council's Statement of Case, and I'd like to introduce it, responsibility for economic development and infrastructure. Just as a reminder for Cabinet and the Council, the purpose of this report is to provide members with an update on the application. Application is actually made by Cambridgeshire County Council, and that's made on behalf of the Greater Cambridge Partnership for the Cambridge South East Transport Order. There's likely to be a public inquiry in approximately in January 2026 at the earliest. And this statement of case is proposed to be submitted jointly with Cambridge City as the scheme crosses the boundary, but the majority of the proposed scheme is actually in South Cambridgeshire. I think most people will know that CSET, as it's known, is a guided busway with an active travel route between the biomedical campus and new travel hub on the A11, and at the junction with Baybram Road A1307. So the Council supports the view that it's necessary for the successful delivery of planned development for significant areas of growth and allocated sites in the local plan. And it's especially important for the viability and efficient access to the Cambridge Biomedical Campus. So we made an initial submission in March 2025. This raised matters for further work and dialogue, and these were primary in relation to ecology, biodiversity, trees, in accordance with the plan policy. So what's happened since then is officers have engaged in further discussions with the applicant, who's responded positively and indicated that further work is underway. You will see from Appendix 1 that there is further work to be done, and officers intend or expect to resolve these matters contained at the end of that report as far as possible, with a statement of common ground to be submitted before the public inquiry. So I would ask Cabinet to support this update on the statement of case, and we move forward accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Milnes?
Yeah, just thanks to Charlotte and the team for this report. It's really important that we get the details of this application correct and manage the situation of the route with the issues of biodiversity that Councillor MacDonald has just mentioned, for example. As the Council representative on the GCP, I'm pleased that we are getting that level of engagement from people on the ground and the people who know the area so well. It's really important that we get that work done properly, so that when the scheme goes forward, assuming it does, that we've got a lot of the detail worked out correctly beforehand. So I'm very happy to second this report and commend it to the Cabinet. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlotte, do you want to add anything? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Yes, Councillor Hawkins?
Thank you, Leader. Just to make the point that the CSET is quite important, and I hope it does go ahead, because we need it to be able to deliver the sites along that corridor that's in our current adopted local plan, especially those around the Cambridge Biomedical Campus. And of course, this was one of the, I think it was one of 7 routes that was included in the transport strategy for Cambridge and South Cambs in 2014, which we used as a supporting document for the local plan that we submitted back then. So it's not, it is required. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Williams?
Yeah, thank you, Leader. I'd just like to point out, that these are busways. They are not guided busways. So that in future, they are mass transit routes. And in future, there is already technology out there to enable them to be operated as a mass transit route in future as demand increases. So, we're not just talking about buses running on a road. We're actually talking about a mass transit system which is equal to any light rail system that could be proposed. So we need to bear that in mind, that these can be adapted to meet that demand in the future for a mass transit system.
Thank you. That's a point well met. Do you want to come back and then I'll bring Councillor?
Yeah, if I may, because yesterday Greater Cambridge Partnership launched their autonomous bus trials, and this is another example of the moving to the forefront of technology rather than lagging behind. We really don't want to have to rely on people using horse and carts to bypass transport policy. And I think this is a really good example of a flexible route in terms of the technology that might be deployed on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Batchelor?
Yeah, thank you, Leader. And yeah, just on a selfish point, I mean, it's worth noting as well, this isn't just to help support future development, but also to help a development that's already begun. So, for example, in my neck of the woods on the A1307, we've had lots of investment from the GCP on greenways and other upgrades to the road. And actually, the greenway can't continue over the A11 onto the Cambridge side of the of that road until CSET actually comes forward as a link. So, from a very selfish point of view, I'm very supportive of CSET moving ahead, just so we can get our sort of greenway finished and help upgrade the transport system in my ward. So, yeah, fully supportive of this, Leader.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, that's reminding us this is a network. It's not these are not single standalone routes. This is all a network, and the greenways are part of the network and dependent on the rapid mass transit corridors as have been described by Councillor Williams. So excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Right. Nothing, Charlotte, nothing you want to add to what's been raised by anybody? Oh, right. Stephen, anything you want to contribute?
Thank you, Leader. Well, just to highlight the journey from here, as Councillor MacDonald has, we will need to submit on your behalf a statement of case. The appendix forms the framework for that statement of case, and we'll obviously agree the final version with Councillor MacDonald, but nothing further beyond that.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so we are noting the progress and delegating authority to Stephen Kelly in consultation with the lead cabinet member for economic development to finalise and submit the statement of case. Okay, members agree with the recommendations? Agreed. Anyone voting against? Anyone abstaining? So cabinet therefore agree the recommendations. And moving on to item 18, the South Cambridgeshire Community Safety Partnership Operational Plan and Communications Plan. Right, so Councillor Batchelor and Councillor Warren Green is going to second it. So, okay.
Yep, thank you, Leader. So happy to propose this paper. So this is a paper that has to come to us semi-regularly to agree the operational and communications plan for the Community Safety Partnership. I know we've mentioned it a few times in the meeting already today through the public question and through response to the ASB item. But it's essentially a group of sort of bodies that are responsible for community safety in South Cambridgeshire. We, as the District Council, essentially are the sort of responsible body that needs to agree this plan. So that's why we get it in front of us every couple of years. There's very little has actually changed from the last time we looked at it, all of which is detailed in the paper, but it is a very important body. We, as a council, have 2 member representatives on the CSP, and I believe Peter Campbell's our lead officer on the CSP. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's in very good hands. The CSP themselves have approved this document, so obviously it needs to come to us for final ratification. Yeah, not sure there's much more I can say at this point, but other than that, I fully endorse the recommendation in the paper. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Warren Green?
Yes, I'm equally happy to second this. I think our role in this multi-agency activity is key, and what I've noted on point 11, which is on page 311, the priorities for 25 to 26, really focusing on the new communities that are evolving. And I think this fact ought to give a lot of confidence, not just to the new communities, but also to the villages in the area who have concerns about the growth, the ability of services to cater for the dynamic growth of new communities and to adjust. And I think this is a clear sign that safety is key right across the thinking as we develop the area. So very, very happy to second this. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Actually, I mean, I'm surprised that they managed to do so much, actually, with not very much money. And the geographic the geographic areas are huge. Catherine, do you want to add anything at this stage? Okay. Any comments from members? No? Anything from anyone online? No? Jolly good. Anyway, nicely set out. I think, this is impressive stuff. And the fact that I'm very pleased to see what the geographic priorities are, because they're the ones that I I would have chosen. So we are asked to agree the contents of the Community Safety Partnership Combined Operational Plan and Communications Plan. Okay, so do we agree with the recommendations?
Agreed.
Anyone voting against? Anyone abstaining? So Cabinet agrees the recommendations. Thank you very much. Thank you to Catherine and I think to Linda Gallagher as well. Thank you. Right, item 19, Joint Planning Advisory Group, Terms of Reference. Right, Councillor Toomey Hawkins knows all about this. I who am doing my best, will second it. Councillor Hawkins.
Oh gosh, thank you, Leader. Yes, the Joint Plan Advisory Group is the new version of what we used to call the Joint Local Plan Advisory Group, which was originally set up in 2019. And the purpose was to help us to discuss all the policies that we're looking at in our emerging new local plan and coming to a common view. Obviously, we did a lot of work back in 2021, looking at those policies that first went into what we call the first conversation and the first proposals. Now, 2019 to now, obviously, has gone past its 5-year sell-by date, but we felt it would be appropriate to start it up again because we have a lot of work to do between now and when we submit the new local plan, latest December 2026. So JPAG will still be advisory and its main functions will still be as before. The members, membership has increased to 5 each from City and South Cams, and there'll still be 1 from the county. And of course, our meetings will be in public, a meeting either every 2 months or as necessary. The terms of reference are in Appendix A. There's not much I can say other than to say I move the recommendation that we accept those terms of reference so that we can actually start work. Thank you.
Thank you. And right, yes. So I know a lot of work's gone into this. It sounds like something that's quite simple. I don't think it's been in the least bit simple, actually. So thank you very much. I think Jonathan Dixon's taken a lead on this. Stephen, is there anything you want to add?
Thank you, Leader. No, nothing to add from what Councillor Hawkins has advised. Thank you.
Good, and thank you very much to those members who will be participating in the new advisory group. It has a very good reputation, actually, this group, and certainly its last iteration. It's had a very good reputation for good debate and good decision making. Any questions from any other cabinet members? I've got Councillor Richard Williams online.
Thank you very much, Leader. Just a quick question of clarification, really. I did serve on this group at one point. I thought it was a very useful group. It's good to see it re-established. Just in paragraph 6 of the report, it mentions this group having some role in broader strategic planning. So I was just wondering, as I say, a point of clarification, really, as to whether there's any indication or any whether it's envisaged that this might have some role in discussing the council's response to the development company, not corporation yet, but the development company, because that's a fairly key spatial planning issue facing us.
So you're right. So you're talking about the work that Peter Freeman is leading on the Cambridge Growth Company. So will it have a sort of scrutinising role
Yes.
on that? Okay, that's an interesting thought. I wonder Stephen, would you like to respond to that?
Well, just to say, I mean, the terms of reference were actually broadened for this time. We are in discussion with the growth company about the most appropriate means to, and with its advisory committee, I'm sure in due course, the most appropriate way to distill the work that they're doing or the progress that it's making. And certainly, because this is generally intended to be a more collaborative and more informal way of engaging in the discussions about spatial growth, I would expect the emerging work of the growth company to feed into the discussions with members in this forum. Clearly, it's not a decision-making body, but we're certainly very keen to use it in that way as a kind of discussive and collaborative space.
Thank you. Do you want to come back, Councillor Williams?
No, just to say thank Mr. Kelly for that. I mean, I think it would be a very good forum where these issues could be discussed. That's all.
Thank you. Yes, we shall bear that in mind seriously. Thank you very much indeed. Right, any comments from Cabinet members? Anyone else? No? Okay, thank you. So we are just asked to approve the terms of reference and agree delegated authority to Stephen Kelly along with Tumi Hawkins to make any minor changes. So do members agree with the recommendations?
Agree.
Anyone voting against? Anyone abstaining? So members therefore agree the recommendations. So moving on to item 20, which is really important, right at the end. So request for community asset transfer of the Unity Centre Northstowe to Northstowe Town Council. So this is very important stuff. So Councillor Henry Batchelor to propose this and Councillor Warren Green to second it. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Save the best till almost the end. I appreciate that. So so for those that don't know, the Unity Centre in Northstowe is the new community building that is going to be a very sustainable exemplar building in that field in the centre of Northstowe and will serve as the community hub. Construction has begun on this, and those that know the area will know that there's a lot of work going on there. Construction of the building is due to complete next year. And I'm pleased to say we're at the stage now when we need to make a decision on who's going to actually be operating the centre once it's completed and operational. So we put sort out to market, and we had an expression of interest from the town council. We've been in negotiation with them for several months now about what their plan is, because as the current owners, we need to be very certain that whoever does take over the running of this asset will do so responsibly and productively, not just to serve the community, but also to make sure it's financially stable. So yes, so we have had negotiations with the town council, and I think we're at the point now where we're confident that the town council will be able to do a good job at running this. I think it's fair to say that as an authority, we would rather it be run by the local people, essentially of Northstowe, who have a much more sort of close connection to the building and to the community there. There are a few sort of final points we do need to hash out, and those are identified in the paper. So what we're actually asking for today is for agreement to approve the transfer of the asset from ourselves to the town council upon completion of some of the final heads of terms regarding the running of this particular building. So yeah, that's where we are. We do have Claire Gibbons with us, who's done, I'd say, 99% of the work. So if you do have any questions of detail, then yeah, she is in a very good position to answer those for you. And I think Tilly, who's the local member, is willing to second it. So I'm happy to move the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Warren Green?
No, absolutely. I mean, yes, as a district councillor for Northstowe, I've been working really closely with Northstowe Town Council since 2022. And they've been really supportive of the delivery group, of the district council community officers who are currently based in the interim community centre, and they both have offices there, so they work really closely together. And the community teams that have evolved within Northstowe representing all different types of activity, and a lot of it run out of the current interim centre. So they have a really good grasp of what the Unity Centre could provide. They're also considering how does this fit as the enterprise zone is developed, how the town hub is developed, and several town councillors are members of the community groups. And I think there are a lot of discussions around what's best to stay in the community centre, the Unity Centre, and what goes elsewhere in Northstowe. And that's really critical, I think, to the community. Within the next steps, as Councillor Batchelor said, we need to think about and take into account how is this going to work financially, but also from a staffing perspective. So the town council have put in their preliminary ideas within their bid of how staffing and the finances could work, and I'll be really pleased to see that worked up, and I'm very happy to second the recommendation that this is worked up into an asset transfer, understanding very, very fully what's going to be run there, how that works within the business case of everything wrapped around it, from staffing to financials to the community getting what it needs and continuing to thrive, because Northstowe really is a thriving community, and it'll be great to see this live. So very happy to second. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Claire, do you want to add anything?
No, I'm very happy to answer questions on matters of detail, as Councillor Batcher suggests.
Thank you. Right, any questions from members of Cabinet? Is there anybody online? So I'm delighted about this, and if anybody can make a huge success of it, I have every confidence that Northstowe Town Council will. As you said, it is a vibrant place. When I go there, they love living there. They feel a real sense of ownership over it, and I think it's absolutely right and proper that they own and control. They control their own assets in order that they can absolutely meet the needs of the community. So, very, very, very pleased about this, and very pleased we've got to this point finally. Love the name Unity Centre. I think it's great. It's different to what we're seeing elsewhere. So I think it makes a very strong statement for Northstowe. So the recommendations on page 342, we're asked to approve the in-principle asset transfer to Northstowe Town Council and endorse further discussions with the Town Council to progress, and delegate responsibility to agree the final terms to Cabinet Member for Communities and the Senior Officer responsible for Northstowe. And my huge thanks to Claire for her relentless work on this. So do Cabinet agree with the recommendations?
Agreed.
Anyone voting against? Anyone abstaining? No, so Cabinet wholeheartedly agrees with the recommendations. Thank you very much. And I think we're at the final now, aren't we? Oh, I've got an extra. I've got the extra item. I've got the sneaky extra item. Okay, right. Which you need. Sorry, I'm going to need to. Sorry, I'm going to need to find the paper for it. Sorry. Okay, if I can get it open. Okay, right. We have an additional item, which is the UK Shared Prosperity Fund and Rural England Prosperity Fund 2025-26 transition year funding. This is going to be considered under special urgency provision. The UK Shared Prosperity Fund and Rural England Prosperity Fund was published on our forward plan as a general exception item on the 5th of June 2025, but it was omitted from the Cabinet papers. Sorry, it was a mistake. Our apologies for that. And the report is now available as a supplement to the agenda, but we do have to deal with it now. So Councillor Peter MacDonald is going to propose this, and Councillor John Williams will second it. So over to you, Councillor MacDonald.
Thank you, Leader. So this is an update of schemes that we've previously run in conjunction with the Cambridge and Peterborough Combined Authority, namely the Shared Prosperity Fund and the Rural England Fund. So the recommendation is that the Cabinet accepts a transition year funding £269,000 from the Shared Prosperity Fund and £350,000 from the Rural England Fund to enable us to deliver the projects that are outlined in the report. For the Shared Prosperity Fund, we have specific projects identified, which include, and refers to the previous item, Northstowe Community Local Development, Visitor Economy and Markets Development Programme, South Cambs High Street, which was very successful, and the Green Business Programme. The Rural England Prosperity Fund has an allocation of £350,000, and this is for capital. And again, it was very successful as it was both for business and community in the first round. So we've discussed with the lead member for finance, that we will have a grant screen programme again. The maximum in this tranche has been reduced to 50,000, but of course, both for business and community projects, they can be very impactful. So I'd ask Cabinet to support this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Williams?
Yeah, I'm happy to second this. I think this point worth making is, why do we keep getting these large amounts of money from the Combined Authority and from government? It's because we spend it. And we can spend it at very short notice. And so, you know, we have the expertise to be able to do that. And that's why we keep getting these grants. And I'm, you know, delighted that we've got such money to spend again in our communities across the district. So thank you very much to the officers involved in working up the proposals to enable us to receive this money. But as I say, the reason we get this money is because we have a good track record of spending it.
We do indeed, and actually, so thank you to Catherine. So I was in a meeting last week, and I'm just trying, you know, I was in meetings all last week with terribly important people. I'm struggling to remember who it was who said to me that the way we dealt with the allocation last year, described it as it was like gold. South Cambridgeshire, you know, exceeded anybody else, and everybody else has been looking to us for how we coped with this. So these were people well outside of our organisation. I will remember who it was. I did write it down. I will remember who it was. But, you know, just to have our handling of these large sums of money, getting it out speedily to the best places for it to go, described as like gold by, you know, the kind of the Cambridge ecosystem, I think is a huge feather in our cap. And so thank you very much to all the team. So we are asked to accept the transition year funding from the Cambridge and Peterborough Combined Authority to enable us to continue to deliver funding to the projects which are outlined in the report. So do members agree with the recommendations?
Agreed.
Anyone voting against? Anyone abstaining? So we therefore agree the recommendations, and thank you very much, and keep up the good work. So right, I'm going to try and find the other papers again, which have now disappeared, needless to say. Right, okay, right. So,
we don't need
okay.
Okay.
So I don't need to. No, I don't. Okay, that's fine. Righty-ho. So going back to the final item on the agenda. Final, yes. So the three C's shared services partnership renewal agreement. Councillor Milnes is going to lead on this, and Councillor Williams is going to second it. So over to you, Councillor Milnes.
Thank you, Leader. So we have to agree a renewal of our 3C shared services, which cover ICT, building control, legal, and that's it. Sorry, thought I'd missed one there for a moment. We've got a situation where building control is a mature award-winning service, hasn't required any significant review, so we'll continue with that. The legal and ICT services have been reviewed with the support of external consultants. The particularly significant one for ICT is the appointment of a new Chief Digital Information Officer, who's been in post now since the turn of the year, and has a new objective to move from being an operational IT service to a more strategic digital enabling service, including, for example, areas of development like artificial intelligence, which will clearly be important as we move forward. So the legal service review has also outlined a number of changes that we're being worked through. So on that basis, I'd like to recommend this report to the Cabinet. One thing to highlight is in relation to local government reorganisation, so that we become aware and actually factor in the possible changes coming our way in all these shared services, so that we could continue providing such services in a changed unitary environment. So I recommend this report to the Cabinet and hand over to John Williams, who is going to second this. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. I'm happy to second this. I think if you look at paragraph 4, little a, that's probably one of the best things we did about the shared services is changing that financial agreement I remember when we came in 2018, we were quite surprised to find that most of it was a gentleman's handshake, and there wasn't very much behind it, and we've worked very well strenuously since then to put it on a more financial footing. I'm pleased we've done that, so I'm very happy to second this.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from Cabinet? Councillor Hawkins?
Thank you. Just to say how I'm pleased that building control continues to thrive. Yes, we've been through some changes over the last couple of years, but all the, all our officers are working well and the teams are doing very well indeed. And onwards and upwards.
Thank you very much. So thank you to Liz, who's led on this. Again, I know it hasn't been easy, but actually I think all the work that's gone on over the last few years has got us to this point. And as I say, building control is an absolute exemplar for all of us. Legal and ICT, just have gone from strength to strength. And we have every confidence that the ICT service is going to be absolutely fit for the 21st century and and whatever the new world of local government holds. So huge amount of work. I'm sure lots and lots of partners involved in this. I'm sure Jeff Membry has been involved in it as well. Did you want to say anything else?
Just one thing to add while we're thanking our Chief Executive. I should also mention Michelle Sachs and Rob Pollock at the City for their and their team's support of this process. So thanks to them.
Have they signed off? Have they signed this off yet, or are they doing it after us? They're after us. Okay. Thank you very much. So so can we please acknowledge the thanks to all three chief executives, please. Right. So we are recommended to approve the partnership renewal agreement for 3C shared services, which includes ICT, building control, and legal. So do cabinet members agree with the recommendation?
Agree.
Anyone voting against? Anyone abstaining? No, good. So Cabinet therefore approves the recommendation, and that brings us to the end of the meeting, rather quicker than I thought. And the next meeting of Cabinet will be on the 16th of September. That seems like forever away. Thank you very much indeed, everyone who's participated and everybody who's listened online and participated as well. Thank you.